When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Another disciple said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Jesus told him, "Follow me and let the dead bury their dead." Please bow your heads with me in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your peace. We thank you, Lord, remove everything that is Sandra out of your way. And let the words that come forward rest on hearts. Allow people to grow in the ministries you have put on their heart. I ask you this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. I would be remiss to not acknowledge, first of all, God, who is the author of my book. And when you know the author of your book, you know the ending is going to be good.
All right now.
I'd like to thank the pastor, who is an example. You know, we don't always agree, and she knows that, but she brings such a knowledge, such a word, that if you just listen, if you just allow her to minister to you, you can't help but grow. I'd like to, thank my partner and our lovely, loud 1-year-old and the rest of my family. I appreciate you all and love you and know that you impart things to me every day that I couldn't have without you. Pray with me on the topic, you get what you pay for. Seed for the soul. As Jesus was traveling around, people saw what he was doing and wanted to be in his presence. They wanted to be like him and were very eager to follow him. Jesus saw this eagerness and I think wanted people to pump their brakes a little bit. The teacher told Jesus, "I'll follow you wherever." Jesus' response was, "Okay, so you say you will follow me, but do you know I have no home? I have no bed. Mom's not cooking me no biscuits when I get home from work. There's no warm clothes waiting for me." Jesus wanted the teacher to know that following him wasn't going to be an easy path. When the other disciple wanted to follow Jesus, he told Jesus he had to bury his father first. Jesus immediately responded, "Let's go. You don't have time for that." Jesus wanted both of those people to know that following Jesus wasn't an easy path, and doing what you want to do is a thing of the past. A lot of us say we want to follow Jesus, that we are Christians, that our answer will be yes if the Lord calls us. We want to do what we want to do and still have the benefits of following Jesus. I call that cheap grace. Some of us want to do the Campbell's chicken noodle soup kind of grace and everything that comes with it. When we get cold, we pop open a can of chicken noodle soup, you add some water, warm it up a little bit, and it's good. It takes no work. It takes no forethought. It requires no effort on our part. We want to pay our $1.25 and be satisfied. We expect our grace to come with a pop-top can. Whatever we needed, we just pop the top and pour a little bowl, take a little sip. We warm again, we can walk on. Our Christianity is the fast food variety. It requires no effort on our parts because Jesus did all the work. We are quick to say, well, Jesus died for my sins, so I'm good to do whatever I want to do. I don't have to feed the hungry. I don't have to treat people with any kind of kindness or dignity. Jesus died on the cross for my sin, so once I'm saved, I'm good, y'all. I can do what I want or whenever I want, how I want. That kind of thing is like buying a round-trip ticket to Europe for December 23rd. You travel to Europe on December 23rd and return home on January 3rd. You had a great time. It was awesome. You're like, oh, I need to go back. You decide you want to go back on January 23rd, but you try to use the ticket from December 23rd. You can't travel on that ticket. That ticket it's not good anymore. You use it, now you need another ticket. Real grace, costly grace, is more like a homemade chicken noodle soup. It takes some care, some effort, some knowledge. It's a process. You have to know the recipe. You have to know how many onions make your broth rich. You need to know that dark meat naturally carries more flavor and moisture than white meat. You have to know what kind of noodles hold up best as they boil. Real chicken soup isn't cheap to make. You gotta buy chicken. You gotta buy vegetables. You gotta buy noodles, and don't forget the seasoning. You are definitely going to pay more than $1.25. Costly grace takes effort on our part. It's about doing our part in the kingdom. It's willing to follow Jesus when you may not have a place to lay your head. It sometimes means leaving family, friends, and home behind. If Jesus told you right now, forget your mama, you gotta follow me, are you prepared for that? Forget your husband, your wife, your partner, you gotta follow me. Are you prepared to leave all that behind? Are we prepared for the time it may take to fully come to fruition? Can we wait? Can we just wait and see God's glory manifest itself in our lives? Or are we just trying to be quick like a chicken soup? Say good, all good. That's not how it works. It sometimes means you want to be a part of the crowd, but you can't follow the crowd because their path is not your pathway. According to Webster's, the definition of grace is the condition of being God's favor or one of the elect. Are you in God's favor if you don't do the will of God? If you aren't totally sold out to what God has for you? Do you truly believe you are living in the state of grace? Are we one of the elect if we go about life so casually that we aren't focused on what God wants for us? Grace is the unmerited favor of God, God's love, therefore a gift. A gift is free. Grace is free. By grace we are allowed to access the power of God to become righteous, whatever our sins of the past and whatever our current problems are. God's grace isn't a license to sin freely and do whatever it is we want to do when we want to do it and think we're grown enough to do. It's a gift that allows us to turn away from our raggedy selves and work on our right relationship with God. God's grace is the GPS of salvation. It helps you get back on track when you are lost and you can't find your way back to God. It helps you find your way back to God instead of just wandering, looking around, not knowing what's going on. Grace is the GPS. You just back to God. And it gives you that path. That's what grace is. The grace of God is the gift of Jesus the Christ and his sacrifice on the cross. That is God's ultimate show of love to us. Jesus died that all might be saved. But salvation is not a path for us to abdicate responsibility for our own work. The salvation just gave us a path to follow in doing our own work. We have to have responsibility for our own salvation. We must, if we are to accept the grace of God, obey the gospel that Jesus gave to us. We cannot just accept the gift without accepting the giver. There is work involved in walking upright in the grace that God has bestowed upon us. The Christian life is not only about the birth, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. It's about living as Jesus lived, loving as Jesus loved, working as Jesus worked. We can't claim grace and salvation through Jesus and then not work on living as he lived. We come to church and expect it to be the picture of Eden. Everything is run perfectly, all the ministries run like a well-oiled machine. Then when things are not perfect, we want to complain and leave. But we haven't joined the ministry, we haven't used the gifts God has given us, we haven't worked to build the kingdom. We just leave because it's easier. We don't want to put in the work, the sacrifice, to make the church a well-oiled machine. Not only are we not willing to work on the building and perfecting of our own church home, we surely aren't going outside. As followers of Jesus the Christ, we have to decide how we want to live. Do we want to be Campbell soup Christians, or do we want to be homemade chicken soup from your mama Christians? Do we want to take the easy way out, or do we want to savor the relationship we have with Christ? Okay, some of y'all know I have shoe issues. And the one thing I can't stand is cheap shoes.
I'm with you.
They don't last long. They make my feet hurt. And they don't hold up well. My mom would say we couldn't afford to buy cheap shoes. I never understood that, because if we didn't have no money, how could we not afford to buy cheap shoes? But now I understand. I get it. Pay more now, and you'll have those shoes later. You can walk in those shoes. They're not going to fall apart. They're going to conform to your feet.
That's right.
And when somebody else put them on, they're not going to feel quite as comfortable because they're your shoes. I don't have to buy another pair next week because the pair I have is good quality. The cost may hit my pocket initially, but over the long run, I save money because I don't have to keep going back to the store to buy shoes. That's the kind of relationship we That's the kind of grace we need to be searching for. We need grace that while it may cost a little bit more now,
Come on. Okay.
going forward,
Well,
we can keep rolling.
Yes,
Keep
yes.
going back. Jesus, I'm sorry for doing that one more time. I did that same thing yesterday. I did the same thing. The same thing. The same thing. The same thing. Most of us don't get caught up in different things. We get caught up in the same thing. Let's go back to the scripture. Matthew 8, 21 and 22. It reads, another disciple said to him, Lord, first let me go and bury my dead. But Jesus told him, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. When Jesus said, let the dead bury their dead, we must apply a Jewish mindset to this question. It is an idiomatic expression where Jesus is inferring to the man that Jesus knew that man was a liar.
well,
In the Jewish custom and tradition, a dead person has to be buried within 24 hours, and then the people mourn their dead for 7 days. The man was making an excuse to Jesus because he was not ready to be a follower of the Messiah. He was wearing cheap shoes, looking for cheap dress. How many excuses do we make not to do what we're called to do? How many excuses do we make to avoid going that extra mile to love someone you cannot stand? How many excuses do we make for our immature behavior toward God and our immature behavior toward our brothers and sisters? Then I wonder, what excuse will we have when Jesus asked us why we didn't do what he asked? But Jesus, I came to that one community feed meeting, cheap grace. But Jesus, those people weren't nice to me, cheap grace. But Jesus, they didn't let me sing my song, cheap grace. But Jesus, I came to church every Sunday, cheap grace. Everyone has an excuse for burying their dead, an excuse for not facing the reality of the calling God has given them. God has heard them all. God doesn't require perfection from us, but he requires honesty and obedience. We need to be honest with ourselves. And if we aren't walking in the footprints of Jesus, then we need to get in our GPS and change lanes. We need to love each other, take care of each other, take care of the least of these, according to Matthew 25 and 40, that we may be what we are called to be. We don't have to keep putting on the cheap shoes, eating the cheap soup. It makes your life more full. Like good shoes make your feet feel better, and good soup makes you feel all fulled up. You know, you sip that can, you're hungry in 10 minutes. Eat that mama chicken soup, you full till tomorrow. Being fully committed to Jesus is more than a pop-top meal. You get what you pay for. Are you willing to pay the price?